Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to be continuing on with our Swift programming tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are not going to be writing any code today, but we are going to be talking about access control in Swift. Now, you can see in my Xcode I have brief explanations about what each of these access control modifiers do, but let's go ahead and actually talk about them. Right. So the first one we have is public. Now, this means that anything marked with public can be accessed outside of the module. But if you mark a class as public, you still can't subclass it outside of the module it is contained within. So what is a module? Well, a module is simply just like Swift tutorials is the module that I write all of my code for these tutorials in, or UI kit is another module that you use to build the iOS apps and stuff like that. AppKit is a module. Cocoa is another module. So keep that in mind as we look into more of these. Now, private. Private is perhaps the most restrictive, and that's for good reason. Okay, so anything marked as private can only be accessed within the specific class or struct that it is defined within. Now, if you have an extension of a specific class in the same file as that class, we'll talk about extensions in a later video, but just keep this in mind. If you have an extension of a class in the same file as that class, you can still access that private property or method from within that extension. If that extension is in a separate file, you cannot access that private member. All right, so that's private. Now, open. This is the least restrictive and perhaps the most broad access modifier. And what open means is that it can be accessed from any module. So anything marked as open, whether it be a class, a property, a method, it can be accessed from any module, within the same module, outside of the module, stuff like that. And then if a class is marked as open, it allows you to subclass that class outside of the module that it is contained within. So a quick example in iOS development would be in UIKit, things like buttons and labels and text fields and tables and all kinds of stuff. The UI controls in UIKit, those are generally marked as open. So in our own code, in our own apps, we can extend the functionality of those built-in classes by extending them. And that is often very useful because sometimes we want to customize the look of a button or a text field to fit the design of our app, and we wouldn't be able to do that efficiently without being able to extend those classes. Hence why the open keyword exists. Now, internal. This is the default access modifier, so you don't see internal pretty much at all. It's used by default. Internal pretty much means that anything within the module anything within the module can access it. So if your class is marked as internal, that class can be accessed from anywhere in the module. If your variable is your property inside your class is marked as internal, or your method in a class is marked as internal, it can be accessed from anywhere in the module. And as I mentioned, that's what the default is. In most languages, you'll find the default is private, but in Swift, the default is internal. All right. So when we're talking about public and open, you're not going to really use them all that much in your own code unless you're building your own CocoaPod or your own Swift package. We'll talk about Swift packages and CocoaPods towards the end of the series, but if you're building your own like sort of API, like say UIKit, AppKit, Cocoa, Alamo Fire, Firebase, then you'll be using open and public much more. But just simply writing your own code in your own app, not so much. So that is pretty much access control in Swift. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.